Well, I flew 24 missions in the B-24. Was shot down on the 24th. Just had one more to go, George, and I would have gone home. We were attacked by FW-190s over Luxembourg, and the co-pilot was killed. All but one of the crew were either had burns or fragment wounds from shrapnel and so on. And we bailed out over northern France, over occupied France. The German commandant lined us all up, and they forced us to run for about 2.5 miles from the train station to the camp. And all the guards had bayonets, they had Alsatian dogs on short leashes. There was 150 of us that either had bayonet wounds, dog bites, broken legs, rifle butts, etc.
You get out the airplane, the first thing you did was you had to do what they call a walk-around inspection. When you get out there, the navigator would look at what he was concerned with, and the bombardier, the bomb sight and so on, and he'd look at the bombs and the bomb racks, and the pilot would be walking around looking at the engine, the propeller, and overall make sure everything looked shipshape. And then when you got through with all this, and you're waiting before the time comes to get in the airplane, that's the time when your emotion would catch up with you, and you think, oh boy, here we go again. And this is not something I'm looking forward to, but this is something we have to do. And then you get to what you call the IP, which stands for the initial point. And the initial point, from that point, you're headed straight for the target. Up to that point, you might even do a little bit of turning just for diversion from guys with flak guns on the ground. But once you get to the IP, you're going down to the target, you have to fly straight and level, no turns, and if they're shooting at you, then you've got to take whatever you get. Usually when you're going down a bomb run, the flak would go bang, bang, and if it was close, you could hear it. But these pieces of flak were like tempered steel, and they'd go through your airplane. You hear these pieces going through your airplane, and you think, oh man, I wonder what got hit. And we were lucky. In our whole 33 missions, nobody got injured. But we had all kinds of stuff shot out in our airplane.
We put in 25 missions by April 25th, which was the last raid that the 8th Air Force made over Nazi Germany. The weather was bad, and by the time we reached the German-Belgian border, we were in a cold front, in snow. Another B-17 pancaked on top of our plane. The propellers from the other B-17 sheared off the top portion of our plane, the nose that is, and threw us into a steep decline to the right, almost a dive. I said, let's sit down and see if we can get the plane under control. Our instruments for instrument flying were damaged to the point where we had no airspeed indicator or altitude, and I flew the plane to a degree by the seat of my pants.
We were briefed for Munich, Germany, and this time in Munich, we went over the marshalling yards, and we bombed the marshalling yards pretty well and hit the targets as I remember it. And there was an airplane very close to us, B-24, and I was looking at him. I didn't see any fighters around. I was looking at him, and I looked away the other way, and I looked back again, and it was nothing but a big puff of smoke. See, the plane was hit directly, and it blew up. And suddenly we got hit pretty hard by ACAC, by 88 millimeters, what it amounted to. And then about a minute later, the supercharger in the number 3 engine was shot out. So we had to drop out of formation, and we dropped down to about 10,000 feet, and we were alone. No formation. We couldn't keep up with any formation. And what happened, we did make it all the way back without any trouble, but it was a close call. That was probably our worst mission.
I flew all my missions in the B-17 Flying Fortress. And on this particular occasion, I had released the bombs over the target, I knew they were released because you get the feeling the plane just elevates. It's like being in an elevator. But the next thing I heard, the radio operator was calling the pilot. He says, "Don't close the bomb bay. There are 2 500-pounders that haven't been released." So at this rate, the pilot called me, says, "Al, you know what you have to do. Get in there and get rid of them as fast as you can." And as I'm jamming this screwdriver into the shackles, hoping it would reactivate and the bombs would drop, I immediately start feeling the effects of anoxia. I'm looking at the bomb bays as I'm rushing, and in my mind I know, oh, gee, I'm a disappointment to the pilot. This thought, I said, "God Almighty, help me get those bombs out." Some thought like that. I remember seeing the bombs go.
Our crew was a cross-section of the United States, because my pilot from California, I had a gunner from Montana, I have a bombardier from Ohio, a co-pilot from Colorado, a gunner from Virginia. So we were a cross-section of the whole United States, and I felt that was very good because it showed that we were compatible all across the United States. We were all doing the right thing for the war effort. We were all helping. I wanted to do as much as I could to help the people of the United States. And that was one way that we all felt when we went over to Europe as a plane crew. Even though we went over on board ship, we were ready to work together, and we were a very fine crew. And I felt that anyone who had anything to do, like Rosie the Riveters, who put planes together, the ladies who were working all the time to help us along, we were a nation, and that was the best part of it.
On the 12th, we went on a normal protecting bomber mission, and on the way back, we ran into some German convoys, so we went down to strafe them. And on the second run, I unfortunately ran right over the top of a ACAC gun, and he put both my engines on fire. Started to stall, got out of the thing, and I really can't remember being in the chute, but I landed in a tree, and my plane was probably no more than 15 feet from me, burning like blazes. The ammunition was blowing up, and the Germans were being surrounded, and they had to get out, and so, they were coming right through the area that I was in. The Americans and German artillery was coming in there day and night. The planes were bombing and strafing during the day mostly. I was in a no man's land where I felt that I wasn't going to survive the doggone thing. I thought maybe I'd starve to death if nothing else. Anyway, in 2 weeks' time, I woke up one morning and the planes were flying over and nobody was shooting at them. Birds were singing, and I knew that the Germans were gone.